That was a great game one, and on Tuesday, Nets-Celtics game one was our Microsoft Surface game of the week, and it's hard to argue the point given what we saw. So what does game two have in store? Let's discuss that with the coach, the NBA champion, Avery Johnson. Avery, Kyrie was fined $50,000 for flipping off some fans, swearing at some other fans. Let's start with the approach here. As a former head coach, after what you saw in game one, what would you tell this Nets team as they go into game two?
Well, first of all, when you're talking about the fans, Jeremy, do better, act better. You can boo an opponent, but crossing the line the way they did with Kyrie Irving, and I'm not justifying any of his behavior, but fans, do better. You can boo the team, you can get on the other guy, but don't cross the line. You're just making things worse. Kyrie needs to focus on basketball. He's made his statements in his post-game comments. Obviously, we saw the gestures with his hands during the game. But he just needs to let his game do the talking, because it's going to put more and more pressure on his teammates to come true, because I don't see him having the same type of game in game two that he did in game one. I don't think he's going to have a repeat performance. But I think he needs to make it more about the game, less about himself, more about trying to get a split on the Celtics home court and try to go back to Brooklyn with tied 1-1. And I think more than anything, Kevin Durant's got to play much better than he did, much more efficient. They got to move him around a little bit. Offense was too stagnant. It allowed the unbelievable defenders from Boston to really limit the amount of chasing that they had to do with Kevin Durant. So move him around a little bit. Kyrie Irving, stay focused on the main thing, which is winning the game.
Let's talk about that Celtics defense. Marcus Smart named Defensive Player of the Year this week, and for at least one bettor, he made $50,000 on the play, Avery. He bet $100 on Smart at the beginning of the season at 500 to 1. So congratulations to him. So if you're coach of the Celtics, what are you telling your guys?
Well, Marcus Smart, that was a nice little tribute to have Gary Payton, the glove, present that award to Marcus Smart in front of his teammates. But I'm telling those guys, continue to make it tough on Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. When they're one pass away, try to deny them the basketball. Make sure you trap Kevin Durant. Stay under his skin. You don't just close out. Nice job here by Al Horford. Get under his skin. Get under his jersey. Do not give him space. Contest every shot without fouling. You don't want to send him to the free throw line. Make sure you get weak side help. Excellent defense by Marcus Smart, going up in the restricted area and then get out and run. So between Tatum, Marcus Smart, Brown, those guys, Hartford, they have the defenders that can help try to neutralize specifically Kevin Durant by giving him different looks. So much of the same in game two as what they did in game one.
All right, Philadelphia can put the Raptors on the brink of elimination as that series shifts to the Big Smoke. The Raptors get Thaddeus Young back, but Gary Trent Jr. is questionable. Scotty Barnes doubtful with that sprained ankle. What do the Raptors need to do to get back into this series, and can they?
I don't know if they're going to be able to get back in this series. Going into this series, I didn't know how healthy James Harden was going to be. He still doesn't look 100%. They have zero answer for Joel Embiid. Zero. They don't have an answer for Tyrese Maxey. And then you add James Harden, who hasn't really had the sort of offensive explosion that he's capable of. But this young kid, Tyrese Maxey, man, he's playing out of his mind. I've been watching this kid since when he grew up playing in Dallas before he went to Kentucky. And he's just playing at all three levels. He's putting a lot of pressure on Fred VanVleet and their defense. And, when you're playing without Scotty Barnes, one less defender on the court, it's going to be tough. But we know, when Toronto historically has played playoff games with We the North, with all those fans up there in Toronto, it can get pretty crazy. A lot of times they have, 15, 20,000 fans outside the arena. So I just think Philadelphia's got to keep it close, get the ball to Embiid in the fourth quarter, force Toronto to double team them. But this is an uphill climb, Jeremy, for the Toronto Raptors. This has the looks of a sweep, the way Philadelphia played in these first two games.
All right, Milwaukee will look to go 2 games up against the Bulls following a defensively sound 93-86 win over the Bulls. The Bulls were good at defending their own rim. but just not as good as Milwaukee was. What worked so well for them?
Well, I just think for Milwaukee, the first thing they got to do is take care of the basketball. 21 turnovers, they're not going to be able to survive that in game two. Milwaukee did a really nice job of defending the 3-point line. The Chicago was putrid from the 3-point line. 18%. DeRozan struggled. They did a nice job of containing him, staying down on his pump fakes. But I just think Milwaukee's got to take better care of the basketball, continue to defend. They closed out well. They protected the basket. They just made it hard. Chicago struggled to score in transition. But when you have guys like Giannis and Middleton involved in all these defensive plays, that's a point of no return. You got to try to attack Brook Lopez, Grayson Allen, some of the lesser defenders on a Milwaukee team. You don't want to mess around consistently with Drew Holiday, Middleton, and Giannis. That's you're going to come up empty. So Chicago's got to move the ball around a little bit better from side to side, and they're going to have to make some more three-point shots.
Yeah, the Bulls went 7 of 37 from three-point range. They had their worst performance from beyond the arc since January 21st when they shot 18.4% from deep in a loss to Milwaukee. DeMar DeRozan, 6 for 25, and their big three, a combined 21 of 71 from the field. Obviously, Avery, to your point, they really do need to start hitting some shots. How do you see them going about doing that successfully here?
Well, with DeRozan specifically, he's got to come down in transition and play a lot of what we call drag pick and rolls. Pick and roll right inside a half court, re-screen, get him going downhill. And I think sometimes he fakes himself covered. Those mid-range shots, they're heavily contesting those. So you gotta make sure that you try to get all the way downhill, get to the basket, take care of the basketball, don't get stripped so easily. But Milwaukee just baited him. They contested his shots. Look at his defense right here by Wes Matthews. He's got to figure out a way to make some of those shots by getting closer to the basket, because they're really playing him at the mid-range like they play three-point shooters behind the line. So, and then some of his teammates, Levine's got to play better. Vucevic has to play better to open up the lanes so that DeMar DeRozan can have more driving lanes. But they're playing that mid-range to a T. That's what scouting reports are all about. When you can focus on one team and isolate a player come playoff time, that's when the adjustments start to happen in games 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.